Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of World Talks here on TVP World. I'm your host, Benjamin Lee, and please join me and my guests on this next interview. Now, a fierce debate in the southeastern Poland has captured national attention after plans to kill 3 wild bears near the village of Cisna sparked public outrage. In a reversal, now the animals will most probably be relocated to Tatra National Park, raising questions about wildlife management and human-wildlife coexistence in the region. Joining us today on TVP World to explore what this decision means for conservation policy is Marek Józefiak, a spokesperson for Greenpeace Poland, a leading voice on ecological and biodiversity issues. Hello, sir, and welcome to TVP World.
Thank you for having me. Hello.
So can you walk us through this whole decision and what was Greenpeace Poland's initial response to the authorization of killing these bears?
I mean, we obviously protested against it, and this is not solving this issue in any regard. Mm-hmm. Also, it's not actually relocating the bears. It's basically sugarcoating the problem. The root cause of the problem is the fact that we don't have a strategy of protection of bears, and for instance, and that's why there's a huge problem with waste management. Bears in Poland basically live only in the Carpathian Mountains, and Bieszczady by far is the number one place for them when it comes to their population. Roughly, the population in whole Polish Carpathians is 150 bears, and out of these 150, roughly 100 live in Bieszczady Mountains. We're talking about an area which is around roughly 2,200 square kilometers big, and out of it, only 300 square kilometers is the national park. So the vast majority of this area is governed by state forests. That is a forest management company, and obviously for them, the main aim, the main goal is not to protect the forest, not to protect the bears, but to manage the forest and make money out of it. So there is issue that, well, this is by far the most pristine, most precious mountain forest in Poland, and yet we're treating it as a normal forest, and it's causing a lot of problems. We're interfering with their habitat, where the foresters are entering bear habitat. They're cutting trees as close as 30 meters to bear dens in this area. And obviously, then on the other hand, they're getting closer to villages because this is where they can actually access really easily food. There are often, rubbish bins found on the side of the streets, and obviously they're being mauled by bears, and you can see that this is an often sighting in Bieszczady Mountains. We need a strategy, otherwise this will happen again and again and again. We're looking at right now pictures that I've taken. This is actually leftovers from a bear sighting. A bear actually ate this rubbish on the side of the street. This is actually a bear den that we're looking at. So this is, in Bieszczady Mountains, bears spend their winters in very old trees, in old fairs. They are 200, 300 years old. They dig holes in them, and this is where they spend the winter. This is where bear cubs are being born every year during winter. And, the problem is we are still treating this place, which should be basically a sanctuary of wildlife, as a normal forest, where the state forests are treating it as a place where they can cut trees and simply sustain their forest management practices. And what is even more, I would say, scandalous is the fact that it is not economical for them. They need to subsidize those forest districts, so it doesn't make sense from any point of view. We're destroying our natural heritage, and yet we are subsidizing this. I mean, it's just mind-blowing.
So there's a lot to unpack here, and I want to kind of go a little bit deeper into what you just mentioned. Do you think local authorities are doing enough to prevent these bears from becoming habituated to human presence? Because there's also kind of some blame trying to be put on the tourists or residents to contributing to the problem through feeding, careless behavior, or leaving the trash outside. But you mentioned also perhaps it is also up to the local authorities to kind of set a proper boundary.
Well, it is true. I mean, waste management is a thing of a local community, local authorities. But we're talking about quite I mean, these are not the richest by far areas in the country, and they're kind of left with the problem on their own. The state should step in. I mean, this is a national issue. Bears only live there, and the country should protect it. And the state has kind of, we have a ready strategy of protection of bears that was created by Polish scientists back in 2013, but was never put into force by the politicians. So we're talking about a national issue that is somehow left to the local communes, which are quite poor, to be frank with you. And they cannot deal with this issue properly. They should be supported by the state. There should be these issues of waste management, protection against bears should be controlled by the state. They should be subsidized to actually deal with this issue. And another thing, we need very abruptly an intervention group, just like the one in the Tatra Mountains, in the Tatra National Parks, where such an intervention group simply reacts, where there are some problematic bears that actually are attracted to villages. Once they learn this pattern, they will try to replicate it. So they need to be deterred from these places. They need to be scared. This is done by shooting to them with rubber bullets. It's scaring them off and teaching them that it's not the good way to go by, but it's not damaging them, it's not harming them, it's not killing them.
Right, like you mentioned, this seemed to be a little bit of a kicking the can down the road situation in who should be managing it. And you also mentioned earlier that the plan to relocate these bears seems to be a more temporary sugar-coating kind of solution. Do you think there's also going to be some ecological or behavioral risk in moving wild bears to a new environment like the Tatra Mountains?
Yeah, I mean, it's a different environment. I mean, some would say, oh, it's mountains. The forests there are different. The forests in the Tatra Mountains were cut down by humans in the 19th century, and they've been actually replanted by humans, and they're not as natural as in Bieszczady Mountains. It's different, even species of trees. So there are different patterns that they live by, and they, quite frankly, 150 kilometers for a bear is nothing. They can easily go back if they wish to through the Carpathian mountain range. So I think it's just kind of really pushing this problem aside, and we need to solve the root cause of this problem. If we don't solve the waste management issue, if we don't have a strategy, if we don't have actually a real priority for environmental protection down there in Bieszczady Mountains, we will face this problem over and over again.
Right, so I have a little bit of time left. Like, what would you advocate for, like, be it the government, be it civil society, kind of do to shed more light on the issue and perhaps to give local or national authorities a little bit of nudge to make sure things go the proper way?
Well, there's already a nudge in place. That is, Minister of Finance has created a special fund for communes which have protection measures in place, like national park and natural reserve. So if the national park would be extended, the local communes could actually, earn millions of zlotys from this fund. So this could actually be a game changer for those communes. However, there are very strong ties between state forests. This is the largest forest management company in the European Union. We're talking about Lasy Państwowe, right? And the local elites, a local political elite. So kind of trying for the local politicians to understand that, well, breaking this tie and actually extending the national park or creating nature reserve is actually in their own interest, because the profits that they would gain that would help them, for instance, to better manage waste, or to build better schools. You name it, right? Could be something that is very much in reach, because that we're talking about millions. This fund is 1.5 billion zlotys per year. It's a lot of money that is at stake, and it's quite easy to grab. And I don't think those local elites are kind of aware of this. They're still kind of in this old mindset that state forest is the place to go when you want some money, if you want to invest in a road or a school. because that's the way it used to be.
Right.
So this will take some time for them to adjust to this new situation, and hopefully we'll end up with Bieszczady Mountains being Polish Yellowstone, which it should be. It definitely should be. This is the biggest wildlife area that we have, and it's the place where thousands and thousands of people are going every year. Bieszczady National Park is already visited by over 500,000 of people per year. So this could be our another Białowieża forest, worldwide known site where people there are pilgrimages to see wildlife and bears, for example.
All right, so it does really need a sort of a transformation to kind of adapt to this new reality, and perhaps a change of thinking in order to kind of transform these environments, not just for the wildlife, but also for the local as well.
Yeah, we need obviously some leadership from the government. The government has promised to protect from logging 20% of Poland's most pristine forests. It's not happening. Right now, it's 0.15% that the new government has kind of, introduced. We're talking about new nature reserves. I mean, we're nowhere near to achieving this target. Right. Preliminary efforts have kind of, temporarily, let's say, saved 3%, right. But it's not a kind of long-term solution. We need that ASAP. Mm-hmm. And this gets to show us that, how urgent that is. I mean, we need those 20% of really protected forests as soon as possible.
All right. Thank you so much for your input and insight and helping us understand this situation a bit more. Really appreciate it. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yes. And thank you for tuning into this edition of World Talks. But for more news, update, and commentary, please stay tuned to TVP World.